The topic today is gonna be my response to Vaush. It's a clip from his stream. This is my official calling. I don't want any of my audience to go brigade or harass Vaush. The point is not about the individual, but it's the ideas that I want to engage. Okay, so please don't go harass or attack him. Here, I just try to engage with his ideas and what I think about it. Okay.
Here's the issue, okay? Let's get this out of the way so we can get to the actual content. You vultures, okay? Lenin did a lot of really cool shit and believed in a lot of really cool things, but then he governed in a way which was at times contradictory with the things he claimed to care about, which was super disappointing, okay? At the end of the day, unfortunately, as reductive as it sounds, power does corrupt, and sometimes the logic that carries you through revolution is not the same logic that allows you to govern effectively.
In some point, I agree with this because they use different strategies and tactics for sure. And to start a revolution and to run a government after that, they are quite different. And yeah, and I even we Marxist-Leninists, we agree that power will bring corruption. That's fucking sure. Even our president of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam talk about that in our 13th Congress. That's maybe a few weeks ago.
There were a lot of things that he did that I disagree with. There were a lot of things that he said that I do agree with. The main issue that I have today is that Marxism-Leninism doesn't actually fucking exist, okay?
What?
Marxism-Leninism, as we understand it, is a bastard synthesization of two separate ideologies that were combined by Stalin and by Stalinists to try to form some sort of cohesive Soviet ideology for political engagement.
There was a guy named Karl Marx, you know about him, right? He read a lot of philosophy and ideologies from people like Feuerbach or Hegel or David Smith, okay? A lot. And then from those ideologies, those knowledge, he came up with the Marxism, along with his friend, Frederick Engels, okay? Both of them put the first stones for Marxism. About 20th century, Lenin, who was the one who took those first stones of Marxism set by Marx and Engels and developed it. Lenin was the one who developed Marxism into a higher form, and he developed Marxism for the USSR. Okay, and after that, about in 1920, Ho Chi Minh, a Vietnamese, last time he was just a normal Vietnamese person, he encountered Marxism-Leninism, and he, again, developed Marxism-Leninism into a version that is most suitable for Vietnam. Stalin had nothing to do with this. Okay, so I'm translating the whole textbook about Marxism and Leninism. And you know what? The whole textbook didn't even mention the name Stalin once. Yeah, I hope that you understand me now, that Stalin did not invent Marxism-Leninism, and Marxism-Leninism actually does exist.
There are ideas from Lenin that I think are justifiable, but I feel like anybody who calls themselves a Marxist-Leninist, I don't know, wait, it doesn't exist? As in, there's not a cohesive theory describing it. Lenin wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. Marx wasn't a Marxist-Leninist.
Marxism-Leninism didn't exist in the Marx time yet, so but yeah, good point here. And Lenin was the one who developed Marx, and then we, the next generation, the later generation, called it Marxism-Leninism. Okay?
Stalin sure as shit wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. Stalin was Stalin.
Just 1 minute earlier, he said Stalin was Marxist-Leninist. And now he says Stalin was not Marxist-Leninist. He was just Stalin. Do you really know what you're talking about here, Vaush?
But it doesn't really matter because tankies don't understand any of the theory that they cite.
We don't understand our ideology now. Talk about Vietnam because I'm Vietnamese, okay? Of course, I will talk about Vietnam the most. So we had a successful revolution in 1945, and actually Ho Chi Minh brought communism here since like 1920, and we had like a whole education system, and then like we have like our whole like collections of Ho Chi Minh taught about the Marxism, Leninism, and communism, and then like actually I want to ask Vaush, how much Vietnamese theory have you read, Vaush? Seriously, I've been studying Marxism, Leninism for 16 years, since kindergarten all the way up to the university. Like, it is not just the propaganda that they taught us in school. It's like an applied framework of dialectical and historical materialism. They didn't actually teach us what to think. They taught us how to think. For 4 years, I had to learn 4 subjects of Marxism Leninism, and then I had to pass all the exams if I want to graduate. So you really think that I don't understand our own ideology? The president of Vietnam right now has the Doctor of Philosophy degree in Marxism, Leninism, and laws. I seriously think that Bosch didn't know what he was talking about.
The most the tankies will ever do if you criticize them about anything they believe is they'll say that by criticizing them, you're actually criticizing all of the POC third world MLs around the world, and that by calling them a tanky, you're calling all of them a tanky, and that makes you a racist because they believe the same thing as those people believe.
You can be wrong and not be racist, and vice versa.
Which isn't true, by the way. In fact, if you ever want to delineate a very clear distinction, you can tell it's because revolutionaries in the third world are smart and effective, and tankies are stupid and ineffective. So that's the key ideological distinction right there.
Marxist-Leninists in the first world countries are very smart, right? And then all tankies are stupid. Can somebody explain to me what does it even mean here?
You can hold them up to a prison. You can split that light. You see like who goes where. Not tankies. Sometimes though, third world revolutionary groups are kind of tanky, and hey, they don't always do good things.
He's talking shit about us without having any point. So what the fuck? He didn't make any point.
Stalin to describe his ideology. Yeah. Like it's just the term. Case in point, this is unironic Omega Dance. Are we ever going to get to the content today? Yeah, here we go. Okay, this is the incredibly high IQ logic they'll hit you with. Unironically, anarchism is anti-Maoist. Anti-Maoist is anti-communist. Anti-communist.
Okay, I think that's it because he's talking about anarchism right now, and I am not gonna have any ideas on anarchism right now. Communism, socialism is like the passion, the empathy, and the sympathy is very important. Like core value of being a communist. Like you have to put yourself in other people's shoes and think. So like I hope that leftists in the imperial core, especially people like Vaush, we stop for a moment, shut the fuck up for a moment, and try to listen to people like us. Try to understand like what we have been dealing with every fucking day. Okay? And like how people like him has been treating us for generations, for decades. And try to do something actually productive in your own home country, in their own home country. It's just like, like they've been criticizing us of like being not real socialists, not pure socialists, and how we still have problems and failure or something like that. You know what? One of the main reasons why we still have problems and mistakes and capitalism is because of their own home country. It's because of countries like the US, the UK, and Canada. If you really care about the third world nations, about the global south countries, the very first thing they should do is to dismantle their own government. to stop the imperialism, the capitalism that starts from their own home country, from their imperial core that constantly pushing pressures on nations like us right now. If you really care about us as you claim to do, okay? We will be so very thankful if they somehow can start a fucking revolution in their own imperial core. So at least we can be a little bit free to build on the path that we are walking on to fix our population and to eliminate capitalism. Because they are the one who pushing capitalism on us. They are forcing us to import capitalism in so we can survive. They even citing article from the Guardian about like how like countries like Vietnam like allow capitalism in and then like abandon all the success and achievement of our communist revolution. It's like because of people like that, many of you don't understand. They just tell you how we did it, how we do it. They never explain to you why we did it. Why Vietnam had to quote unquote abandon all the achievement of our revolutions, communist revolution, and adapt to capitalism right now. Haven't any one of you read any articles from like the Western media outlet explain why we did it? Except my one video, Is Vietnam Socialist? Explain why we have to do it. If you haven't watched it yet, go check out that video. I explain you why we had to do it. I admit that there is capitalism here in Vietnam, and we don't want it. It is bad. But we had to do it. A lot of people still believe that, like, when we won the US, the Anglo-Saxon America, won the US in 1975. That's it. The war end. And Vietnam is totally free to be our country, to be rich, and it's like that we couldn't do it. So ignorant. Such idiots take. After we won the war in 1975, the puppet government in the south of Vietnam were dismantled. And you know what? We had to take the debt from them. For 20 years, the US backed them and sent them hundreds of millions of dollars to the south. And when they lost, when we kicked them out, the US forced us, the North government, to pay the debt of the South government. Vietnam was fucking devastated. We were so poor. I have to cry right now because how stupid it is. My mom lived through that time, so she knows actually what happened. Oh gosh. So, the north of Vietnam had to take the debt of the puppet government in the south of Vietnam. I remember like $145, $150 million or something. That's a huge amount of money at that time. And then, they put sanctions on it. Comprehensive sanctions on it from 1975 to 2004. Can you believe that? For 30 years, 29 years, we had to rebuild everything from scratch. We had also have to pay the debt of the puppet government under the comprehensive sanctions. At the same time, our biggest allies, the USSR, they collapsed in the 1990s. What the fuck do you want us to do at that time? Huh? The IMF, the World Bank, they came and they forced us to bring capitalism in so we can borrow money from them to feed our people. It's like so disgusting when people keep talking shit about us without understanding what the fuck we had to deal with for decades. Like my mom, she told a story. I just interviewed my mom and you understand clearly. how poor we were at that time, and we still try to spend 10 years to build a full moneyless communist society from 1975 to 1985. And we failed. 10 fucking years of trying to do it, and we fucking failed. Because we were bombed to the Stone Age. We had millions of Vietnamese people have to deal with Agent Orange effect, the birth defect too. And Pol Pot at the same time, backed by the US and China, killed thousands of us in the South. They tried to invade Vietnam too. For 10 years, the same time when we tried to even feed our own people, we had to send volunteer soldiers to fight Pol Pot, that backed by the fucking US and China. 1979, we had to fight the border war with China too. So you really think that China actually helped us that much? They did, but not much. The USSR at that time, they did help us a lot in the wartime. But like, start from the 80s, they couldn't help us anymore because they've been like on the verge of collapsing for themselves. And in 1991, it officially collapsed, and Vietnam was left alone in the world. And it's a situation like capitalism. They put the gun in our head to foster, like, okay, you have to eliminate communism, you have to bring in capitalism so you can borrow the money from. It's like we can borrow the money from them, not like they will give the money to us for free. We have to do that so we can borrow the money from them, and we have to pay them back. Okay? Meanwhile, they refuse to deal with all the bombs that they drop on us in Vietnam nearly every month. We found a new bomb somewhere under the ground. Hasn't exploded yet. And we have to evacuate the whole 2 kilometers around that area and to deal with that bomb. Now in Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia, there are 4 million people who are the victims of Agent Orange. And we are still struggling to sue the US, to sue the 37 companies that supplying the US that. We haven't won yet. Even though it's a universal truth, it's fucking war crime. And they paid like not even a penny for the war crime that they did. We are still a poor, developing country. But when the pandemic started, we gave our own people free tests, free food, free shelter, and free treatment when they have the virus, have the disease. When the pandemic started, we immediately stopped exporting rice so we can try to secure to have the food secure for our own people. Vietnam is the second nation on earth that export the most rice, only after India. So rice exporting is a huge income for Vietnam in the condition that we are fucking a developing poor nation. But we immediately stopped exporting it for 2 months to make sure that there's no shortage of rice in Vietnam. We clearly sacrificed our economy to save our own people. And that's a socialist manners and socialist values that we've been talking about. Okay? And now we are still working, testing the second vaccine in Vietnam. And we still bought the vaccine from other nations too, and we had it. And you know what? We have only to pay like $9 for one shot of COVID-19 vaccine. Even though the price that we bought and then all the fee that the government had to pay to bring the vaccine here and to deliver it to other people, it costs way more than that. But they still use the national budget to protect, to make sure the price is cheap so people can have it. And we even work on like the 11 groups of people that we have the vaccine for free. Okay, so like poor people, the doctors, nurses, poor people, the people in the quarantine area that face like the big threat of it, like having the virus, exposing to the virus, they will have it for free, even though we had to buy it from the capitalist countries. But we give it for, we only have to pay if like we are rich and we are not in the area of like God my face exposed in the country, but we still want to have the vaccine so we can go out of the country or something like that. So we have to pay for that, and that's totally fine. It's like a service, and we choose to pay to have it. Okay, but like for the people who actually in need, we give it for free, and for the domestic vaccine too, like they said like if like somebody they will give the people in need for free too, but like for people like who like not really in need but they still want it, they will have to pay like 60,000 dong. It's like less than $3, and that's the fee for the shot, not for the vaccine. The vaccine itself is free. You have to only pay for the with the labor from the neighbors and the doctors or the nurse, and maybe the syringe you have to buy. Less than $3 for a shot for a domestic vaccine, and we immediately like had like clear plan for that. Meanwhile, countries like the U.S., more than 300,000 people died of COVID-19. Nearly 30 million cases. People were dying every day, and they still open up. And people like Vaush, you think that you can fucking talk shit about us and saying that we are fucking fake socialists? And you, in the meantime, you fucking embrace Bernie Sanders and fucking AOC? If he kind of watched Vaush, you would know that how hard he is, like how hardly it is for him to like support like people like AOC and Bernie Sanders. Like he called them like comrades, and he even said like in one of his live streams like AOC and Bernie Sanders are like they've been doing more for the left than any single one of you and him. And okay, if he like so like desperately defend and support AOC and Bernie Sanders that much, okay? Because like what they did for the working class is like way more than every one of us. Okay, Vietnam is a Marxist-Leninist nation, and the Communist Party of Vietnam, like Ho Chi Minh, like we even had a fucking successful revolution, and they did like amazing achievement for the working class in Vietnam, especially in the pandemic right now. We successfully protected our citizens. Like only 35 people had to die of COVID-19 in Vietnam, even though we have a nearly 100 millions population in Vietnam. We have a long border with China. Okay, we've done a massive benefits for the people. So according to his own logic, should like Vaush and his Vaushine support like Vietnam way more than AOC and Bernie Sanders? The two of them haven't even started a successful revolution yet. Here's the thing. They criticize Vietnam for like, oh, there's still capitalism in Vietnam. Like, therefore, we are not real socialists. We are fake socialists because there's still some elements of capitalism in Vietnam. Yes, it is a fact, and I admit it. Yeah, it's true. But Bernie Sanders and AOC, they like openly, they don't even want to end capitalism. All they talk about is to work within the system, reform. And then they're fucking liberals, dude. They're liberals, and they clearly, openly don't want to end capitalism. And they like you uncritically support them, and you talk shit about Vietnam. Like, what kind of logic is that?